Okay, my bad. It was connected to my Echo Dot. Okay, I'm like, what is it connected to? I'm like, what do you mean it's connected to a speaker? It was connected to my Echo. So we're back. Okay, so welcome to Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. Timestamp this 3 minutes. Okay, woo child. Okay, so this story has been creeping and crawling all over my FYP, and I've been trying to figure out why. So apparently, it has been all over TikTok for at least the better part of a year. And shout out to Austin. I hope y'all doing all right. Y'all sound like y'all in the trenches. Y'all sound like y'all in the y'all sound like y'all in the trenches right now. You got a crazy person on the loose. And apparently, according to the Facebook group that I just joined today, shout out to the Facebook group. I'm gonna give them a shout out. They could not figure out why they've been popular all day, but shout out to this Facebook group. I joined it, and apparently the city of Austin has not made any announcements in regards to this serial killer. Like, it's like the city won't say nothing. So, of course, everyone has to put on their sleuthing hats and do the work for the police, because, you know, the police be so gosh darn lazy nowadays. I mean, they can barely protect kids they can barely protect kids in, what's it called, in schools. So, yeah. So I joined this Facebook group, and shout out to the Facebook group. I'm going to share the screen here. They're called Ladybird Lake Serial Killer and Rainy St. Clair. So apparently they've mashed up two horrible people together. And now they are doing the Lord's work. Now, if you remember the very popular Netflix series called Don't Mess with Cats, really how they were able to find a serial killer was because of another Facebook group who banded together and started doing some internet sleuthing. And that's how they were able to find Luca Magnotta. He was a prolific serial killer in the Canada area, Vancouver area, probably. I think that's where he was at. But sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes a group of people to come together and start putting their clues together. So we're going to be getting into this story here. But first, because we're late, let's see who's all in the building. Okay. Hello, Mr. E says, I went last weekend. A lot of gangsters looking Chiquinos just roaming in small packs due to housing in the area. Seems like probably opportunistic robberies, possibly. But we'll get to all of those statements, possibly. We don't quite know yet. Hello, Vihager, and also welcome, Mr. E. Hello, Nikki. Hello, outspoken introvert. Hello, Julia. How you doing today? Hello, Tish. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Brenna. Hello, Cami. Hello, Kim B. Hello, Triple Leo. Hello, Quanda. Hello, Yvette. How you doing today? Desiree says, hola. Mis primos. I don't know what that means, but hello. How you doing today? Hello, caregiver. How you doing? Hello, Sean. Hello, April. Hello, Kamiko. Hello, Tony. Hello, Bougie. How you doing today? Hello, Brandy Noir says muted. We got to that. Anybody here from Facebook? Shout out to Facebook. Hello, Diana. How are you doing today? Anybody else? I'm trying to look for Facebook because they always come in a little bit late. Hello, Watson. How are you today? And hello, Laquanda Hall. How you doing? Says, hey, Nosies. Watching on both. Hello, Joanne. Joanne Metcalf says, hey now. Hello, Toy Alley. Hello, Missy. What's up, Desmond? How you doing today? Hello, Dame Girl says, I missed y'all getting cussed out the other night. I'm here now. Ciao. I made peace with that. What's up, Minnesota Mandy? Hello, Ezrika. Hello, Watson. Mr. E again says, I'm in between Houston and San Antonio by Austin by an hour and 30 minutes. Ooh, so you're like right in the area. Please be safe. And we're going to get to all of your claims because I saw that you left a number of comments. So we're going to get to all of those. Don't you worry. Okay. Hello, Julia. Hello, Des. How you doing today? Hello, Mrs. James. And hello, Julia. If I missed you, I apologize. But we have a lot to get to because this story is really in depth. So on TikTok, a viral video is going around, and they are discussing that there's a possible serial killer in the Austin, Texas area. Now, when I went to look up this possible serial killer at Ladybird Lake, I think that's what it's called. There's a video here that we're going to get ready to watch. So turn your volume all the way up. There's a video we're going to get ready to watch. It was posted last year on TikTok. Last year. Now, the reason why the story is reemerging is because they found another body in that lake yesterday, 2 days ago, possibly. Another body. So let's get into this video here, wherever it's at on TikTok, and we will discuss. Let me blow the screen up and make sure you turn your volume all the way up.
So if you're from the Austin area, you're probably familiar with the set of drownings that occurred from 2015 to 2019, all in the downtown area. And it's of men who were able-bodied, strong people who were in their 20s and went missing after a night out and ended up in Ladybird Lake. So Ladybird Lake is actually the Colorado River and expands the entire width of the city. Now, the thing with these drownings is that not only were these guys strong, but how in the world did they end up from 6th Street or Rainy Street, which is where they went missing, and end up in the river? So from left to right, this is Martin Gutierrez, who was found in 2019, a little bit before Thanksgiving, after he went missing from Rainy Street, where he was with his friends having a night out drinking, and he was later found in the river drowned. Christopher White was here for ACL Fest, and he and his friends went back to the Airbnb after the festival, and they kept drinking. He was later found also in the river drowned. This is Julio Santos, who in June of 2015 went missing from Barbarella's, which is on Red River and 6th Street, and he ended up also in the lake drowned. Now there's another guy who isn't pictured here. His name is Christian Pugh. He also went missing from the Rainy Street area and then ended up in the lake. Now, fortunately for Christian Pugh, he was found alive, but he was found in this area right here between the brush and the river, which is just beyond this brush over here and the hike and bike trail. Kind of to give you an idea where Christian went missing from, where the red is where he was reported missing from, and this is where he was found over here. This one is for Julio Santos. Barbarella is that red pin dot right there, and he was found in the river in this area. This one is for Martin Gutierrez, who he was over here in Rainy Street in this area up here in the corner, and he was found further down the river. So with these drownings, while APD is saying that they were accidental drownings, I don't believe that they are. I feel like there may be some kind of foul play or possibly a serial killer in the Austin area. Now, for Christopher White, who did drown in the lake, he actually was close to his Airbnb because it was on the lake and they had a dock. So I feel like maybe his death was accidental. But Martin, Julio, and Christian, I don't feel were accidental. Julio's family actually also believes that he may have been the victim of a foul play. Martin's family does believe that he was attacked. And then for Christian, I couldn't find a whole lot more information, so I don't know if he ever came out and said if he was attacked or not. But I do believe that there's some kind of foul play in all of these because they were found way too far from their original location to just have happened to accidentally stumble to the lake. Now, follow for part 2.
Now that's interesting because, that's interesting. And I saw your comment, Mr. E says 3 people in 6 weeks. This from Mr. E. He says they didn't find any water in a lot of their lungs, indicating foul play. Yeah, they died before they were dead before they got into the water. Remember, you need to be alive in order to be able to breathe in water, right? So absolutely. You said, "Oh, yeah, I mean, they stay away from Ladybird Lake." This is that's my best thing. But there's a part 2, so we're gonna get to part 2. But let me get to some of your comments. That's from Julia. What's up, Julia? Says, I remember in my psychology class we learned about serial killers, the Iceman, and he was a hitman, and he only killed men. There's a movie on HBO as well. I encourage you to check out. This from Minnesota Mandy. Hey, Mandy, says, Steph, have you heard of Smiley Face Killer? Similar MO, possibly. Now, there is, I wonder if it's in this phone. We're going to get to part 2, but I want to show you what someone had posted in the group chat. Oh, yes. Oh, let me show you this from the group chat. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to just bring it up here. Just let me know if you can see it and I'll read it to you. It says a few months. This is from the Facebook group that we're going to dig into in just a moment. But I want to read this to you guys first because I screenshot it in case I couldn't find the comment again. Now, this from Thaddeus Quest. He says that a few months ago, I found a body by Lakeshore Boulevard in Pleasant Valley, right on the water. I called the police and reported it. And when I was on the phone with them, there was a guy in a black hoodie lurking and paying too much attention to me on the phone. There was definitely something happening out there close to the water. But he continues. He goes on to say down here below, Mr. Thaddeus Quest, he says, I have a picture of the body, and at the time, I didn't know it was a body. He said that he thought it was just a homeless person sleeping. I expanded it, don't worry. He said, I thought it was just a homeless person passed out, but I was wrong. There's literally satanic markings drawn on the tree next to his body. That is what this person is alleging that they saw, and they have actual photo evidence of. He said that he thought it was just a person or I thought it was a homeless person, drunk. I mean, not all homeless people are drunks. Most homeless people are just sleeping, but he probably thought it was just a homeless person knocked out. And then he said it turned out to be a body. And then he said he saw satanic writings in the tree near the body. He went on and said that, hold on, I think I got the other screenshot. Did I grab the other screenshot? I did not get it, but he also went on to say, in just a short, brief comment, he said that if you saw the writings, you would think something was strange too. And now, granted, people do go to parks all the time, young kids with Ouija boards and stuff. They carve all kinds of stuff in the tree, but that is just strange to say the least. It's quite strange. Hello, Life Aaliyah. How you doing today? This from Mr. E says, yeah, the Smiley Face documentary is good. All college kids, though. You think so? This from Teddy Boo says, the person found alive could not give any insight. I guess not. Let's get to her part 2. Maybe there's an update on it, okay? 1 second.
So talking about this drownings in Austin, Texas. Now, the more research I do, the more it kind of gets a little twisted and kind of like everybody has their own little theories. But again, everybody comes to the same conclusion that maybe there is a serial killer in Austin. So on Reddit, there's this lady, or man, I don't know, but there's this person who says that also their nephew was found dead in Ladybird Lake in 2015, and he was only 23, a very strong swimmer. He went missing after a night out, and he says the autopsy showed that there was no water in his lungs, but he was also found in the river. So they think that APD is just covering something up and isn't actually looking into the deaths of these young men. Now, on Twitter, this gentleman decided to put up kind of like a graph and saying that there was 8 bodies found in 2018 alone. So this is the map here. And he says that Chris Jenkins, a long time ago, one of the original smiley face killers, was found a mile from I-35 in Minneapolis. And Austin has I-35 running diagonally through it. So who in the heck are the smiley face killers? I don't think I've ever heard of them. This is the first time I'm seeing it, but people are saying that the smiley face killers, which are a group or a gang of killers in the East Coast and Midwest, killing college age students and then dumping their bodies in the river, have something to do with the murders in Austin. Now, how connected are they? I don't know. And is it true that there is some kind of organization killing all of these men? Now, how true is it that this could potentially be the work of this serial killer, either gang or organization or single person? Who knows? But the fact remains is that I believe, and a lot of people do believe, that in Austin there is some kind of serial killer who is taking out these young men. And I wholeheartedly hope that if any one of you decide to go end up going out for a night out, please remember that if you're with your friends, always come together and leave together. Do not let anybody just wander off. And if they do wander off, please look for them, because in these situations, it could totally mean life or death. So please always, always, always make sure that your friends are safe and that you're safe. But again, tell me what you think on this theory, and I'll keep doing some research and see what happens.
So that was in this video was posted. Let me check the date. It's a little tiny. This was posted March of 2022. But there are updates. So we got to get to the updates, okay? But yes, definitely giving smiley face killers. It's definitely giving Ramirez, what was his name? The Night Stalker, or Jeffrey Dahmer vibes without the eating of the people, just targeting specifically men and specifically physically fit ones, according to that Reddit post, if it's real, right? Because Reddit is so hard to tell. I don't want to knock Reddit, but with Reddit, remember Reddit started off with like fan fiction. So it's just hard to get the truth on Reddit without photo evidence. Like if you're not linking a video or you're not linking an article, I'm just like, I take Reddit with the tiniest grain of salt. And that's no shade to Reddit, but we know your history, okay? Y'all started off as fan fiction, right? You're writing some of the best fan fiction in the world. So I just take Reddit with a tiny grain of salt. But if that story is true, and her nephew did pass away, may his soul rest in peace. It's not, avid swimmers are not drowning in a river or a lake. I don't care how strong the current is. It's just not happening. They know how to swim toward the side, and lakes are narrow. So they know how to swim to the side and get themselves close to land. But also the fact that they were not found with any water in his lungs. That's also an indication too. So let's get into the current update of the new person who passed away by the hands of some deranged person. Okay.
So I'm sure a lot of you are seeing the recent news stories and rumors that there is an Austin serial killer. And I wanted to make a video about this because the place where all of these supposed, attacks are happening are on the river trail from Rainy Street to Ladybird Lake. And those of you who followed my page know that I used to live at the apartment building just south of the river across from Rainy Street. And I would take that trail regularly as I was walking to and from to go to the bars and go back, vice versa. And the reason that people, not just me, would always walk it instead of taking Uber is that Uber surge prices. It's only a 15-minute walk, and an Uber would charge you $75 at 2 a.m. So you're wondering, why are these people walking back at 2 a.m. When they could just Uber? It's because it's a ridiculous price for a relatively short walk. So that's why people always do it. And for the most part, it's relatively safe. I've done it dozens of times. I've never run into any issues. So I'm just seeing all these stories of people who go missing, and I keep thinking, man, I used to do that all the time. One of the victims from 2 months ago was my neighbor, Jason. It was incredibly sad. He was a great neighbor. I really enjoyed, the brief interactions we had with him, and it really it'd be really sad if he was murdered and then someone is still out there and committing murder. So I really hope that this isn't happening, although there is a continuing trend. I don't know what APD is doing about it. I hope they're doing something. But if anyone is thinking that, people should stop using the trail at night, the trail for the most part is incredibly safe. People will walk the trail all the time. You will see girls walking the trail at night by themselves and not think anything of it. Most of it is well lit. Most of it is in crowded areas. It's just these, I don't know, one-off cases. I like to think that there's no such thing as a coincidence, and there are many of these happening in a row. If there's a serial killer, I hope APD is doing everything they can to set up cameras, do something to stop it. But this is pretty ridiculous. I hope you put a stop to it. And I hope, I don't want to say I hope it's just people being drunk and being stupid, because that's horrible as well. But if there's something going on, we got to put a stop to it. Also, this should. So I'm sure a lot of you are seeing, if there's something going on, we got to put a stop to it. Also, this should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Use the buddy system. Always watch your drinks. Be careful who you talk to. Don't let one of your friends leave unattended. Make sure you have Find My Friends on all your friends' phones.
body being found in Ladybird Lake, which just happens to be.
Truly, if you have a trip to Austin.
Hey guys, this is a special PSA. I wanted to use my outreach to raise awareness. Hey guys, this is a special PSA. I wanted to use my outreach to raise awareness for an issue that's going on in my community right now. There is a serial in Austin, is what we have come to figure out. So here are the reports of a body being found in Ladybird Lake, which just.
Now, just over his shoulder, you can see all of these different cases, and they're dated. Let me try to rewind it back just a little before while he moves the shoulder. So here, starting in 2008, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 persons found in the lake. Now, maybe 1 or 2 is a one-off, right? It happens. It's possible, right? And even if you look at the consistency of them, right? 2 in 2008, 1 in 2012, 1 in 2015, 2 in 2017, 4 in 2018, 2 in 2019, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 2022, and 1 in 2003. So the first thing I would have to do for myself is look at the statistics. Like, has the and just look at all the demographics of all the victims, right? Do they have any commonalities? Do they live in the same area? Then I would look at the population of the city. Are more people leaving or exiting the city, right? Because that plays a big factor in it. Because if more people are leaving the city, then why are so many people showing up dead? But if more people are joining the city, then it does increase the rate of more people out drinking, and then more individuals accidentally getting drunk and falling into the river, right? So it's a possibility, but a crime analyst would look at all of that, like, okay, and then their autopsies, right? How many of them have water in their lungs? What is their blood alcohol level? Do they have any other barbiturates in their system, right? Do they have GHB? That's a date. That's a date drug, if you know what I mean. So all of those factors are contributing. Now, here's the thing. We don't even know if the Austin police are even digging into this story or not. We have no concept. They could be, right? But if they don't have the money or the finances, or if they literally don't call the FBI, then there's nothing they can do. They can just be like, we don't have the resources to look into a potential serial killer. We just pick up the body, determine it's not murder, move on with our lives, right? But that's the problem. These cities are always thinking that they're actual FBI agents, and they're not. You know, there's so many stories of cops clashing when the FBI get involved, because they're like, this is our city, it's our town, and the FBI is like, well, if it was your city, what's taking you so long to put the pieces together? So it's always a clash when one law enforcement agency has to work with another. So my question is, are they not calling the FBI because they don't want the FBI to take over their case? Is it because they think they're doing a good job? Is it that they don't actually think that there's a murder or serial killer on the loose? Those factors, excuse me, those factors are also incredibly contributing, because it could be hindering the entire case simply because they don't want the FBI involved. And that just puts more people at risk. It's just that simple. Hold on one second, you guys. Let me get to some of your comments. Weird cough. Hello, Rose Ellen. How you doing today? Hello, Mr. E says, these are really big guys that aren't even small guys. Who are big guys? This from Missy says, this is too scary. It is. You said 4 in December. 4 in December. This from Blaze. What's up, Blaze? Says, is there a city underneath the lake? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not from the Austin area, so maybe if somebody's in the comments, they could search that up for you. Mr. E says, this is old too. I don't see February. Jason John on March 31st. Jonathan Honey. Yeah. So this is him stitching his own video. We're gonna finish playing it out, okay?
Hey guys, this is a special PSA. I wanted to use my outreach to raise awareness for an issue that's going on in my community right now. There is a serial in Austin, is what we have come to figure out. So here are the reports of a body being found in Ladybird Lake, which just happens to be right down the 300 feet away from Rainy Street, which is a very popular entertainment district here downtown. This was posted yesterday that another person was found out here. It's been all over Twitter the past couple of weeks. It's been an issue that's been coming up a lot recently, and with yesterday's thing being found, it's an issue. So information that I've gathered so far from looking at everybody's tweets and Reddit and stuff like that is that these people that went missing were last seen on Rainy Street. So whomever is targeting these people is targeting them on Rainy Street. They are mostly young men between the ages of 21 and 35. So if you go out, guy, girl, he, she, they, whatever, please make sure you let somebody know. You use a buddy system, get something for your keys. Always have somebody, type of thing to check on you, because these streets are not safe, and this is an issue that has not gone public by any government. So we're calling for the police department or somebody to please address this immediately for public safety issues, because I'm not going to be able to reach everybody, and neither is Twitter. So please spread the word and be safe out there, guys.
Yeah, that's incredibly sad. This whole story is incredibly sad. I want to get to this article next before we jump into the, what's it called? The Facebook group, because the Facebook group is going to be a whole mess. So we got to get into this article first, okay? Before we do, let me get to some of your comments, okay? Because I know the comments is going. Hold on one second. This from Silent Sister says they have explained to us as lake and algae levels. Is that what they explained to you? You said the victims are all fairly large, guys. Yeah, crazy. Hello, Cammie. How you doing today? Cammie says, no, I'm going to Austin this weekend. Okay, we'll stay away from Rainy Street. Girl, use the buddy system. Lock them arms. Okay, this from Veronica Rosas. Says, I heard of the same type of cases happening in Chicago along Lakeshore Boulevard. We might have to get to those tomorrow, because that's also and Lakeshore Boulevard is where there's the public and private beaches near Lake Michigan. So we might have to get to that story too. But let's get into this article here. It is by KXAN. I don't know where the affiliate is, but I think it's Austin. It says less than 2 months after 30-year-old Jason Johnny's body was found in Ladybird Lake, another man in his 30s was found dead in roughly the same spot. Both were last seen on Rainy Street at approximately 12:50 p.m. Saturday. Austin Police Department found Jonathan Honey in Ladybird Lake. Jonathan Honey, crazy. Near 10 Rainy Street, a release from the Austin Police Department. Homicide and Missing Persons Unit detectives, Lake Patrol units, alongside with crime scene specialists, responded to the scene to investigate their report. It's a story Michelle Gutierrez is all too familiar with. Her 25-year-old brother, Martin, was found dead in the lake several years ago after being seen on Rainy. He was at a bar on Rainy Street, went along, and never came back. Gutierrez and her family have been pushing for change in the area for years, but the recent deaths at the lake, they have convinced the city to put new fences and signs in the area. Still, they say more needs to be done and fast. Obviously, the issue is still occurring, so there needs to be something done now, Gutierrez said. There needs to be a change as far as lighting. There needs to be a change as far as surveillance. A spokesperson for the city council, Zohiba Cardi, I think that's how that's pronounced, whose district covers Rainy Street, told us the city council is in touch with Honey's family and that he's following the investigation closely. He's working on the changes families have asked for. We need to push forward for change to happen a whole lot faster because this isn't going to stop. Obviously, it's been proven multiple times. Gutierrez said he's been in touch with Cardi and says that the council person has been very accessible and working with them to make the changes. KXAN has requested the autopsy report of both men last seen on Rainy Street found in Ladybird Lake last year. And those took up to 120 days to release, according to the Travis County Medical Examiner. Meanwhile, Martin, his 2018 death was ruled an accidental drowning. His family hopes people will be cautious so Rainy, it doesn't happen again. Do not go anywhere alone. That's what's been happening. People, all male, all alone, gone, sad. Another Ladybird death, a list circulating on social media right now lists the bodies found at Ladybird Lake, and many which link KXAN articles. We dug through all of them and found most are not tied to Rainy Street, despite the list circulating in relation to the story, and that many have circumstances that don't match what happened to the three men about in this story. We asked the APD to weigh in on these theories floating around on social media, and we'll update you on this article. So according to KXAN, that everyone who was on that list, I think it's the same list that we had been looking at earlier, did not go missing on Rainy Street and then ended up in Ladybird Lake. They just ended up in Ladybird Lake. I wish KXQN would have been a little bit more in depth about which ones went missing on Rainy Street and which ones just showed up on the lake. Right here is a really good kind of like, let's see where it's at. Okay, yeah, here. Let me share the screen. So right here is a really good example of that somebody had posted in that Facebook group of where Rainy Street is, right here, where the red dot is, and then the 4 apartments that overlook the river. So we don't actually know how they ended up in the river, whether it be like accidental drowning, but I guess they'd have to walk down this path here. Like, how did you go from this street here? Because these are all rocks. Let me do my own pulling up. Let me pull up my Google Maps. I gotta look at it myself because sometimes people's sketches be all weird. Okay, hold on, y'all. Ladybird Lake. See, can we get a street view? Okay, there we go. Okay, here's the lake. Oh, it's a part of the Colorado River. No? Okay, here we go. That's better. Okay, let me share this tab. So here's the lake. And if I go based off of this, let's see. You can zoom in because I'm trying to figure out how y'all end up in. I mean, no shade to these people, I'm talking about the accidental ones. I'm not talking about the ones who are like dragged there. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the accidental ones. Like, how'd y'all get in the river? Hold on, let's see. What's it called? Rainy Street. Okay, so it's right here. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, here, right here, this street here. So here's the street here. This here. Is this the trail, right? Like, let me zoom in a little more. I'm trying to figure out what trail brought them there because here's Rainy Street right here. Now, how'd y'all end up in the waterway? That's the part I'm slightly confused by. If this is the trail here, right here, how'd you end up in the waterway? Let me get some of your comments. I'm just a little perplexed. I'm talking about the accidental drownings. I'm not referring to the people who were dragged and brought there. I'm talking about accidental. This from Call Me Darling says, I was just in Austin last weekend and my son and his girlfriend live there. Oh, wow. Oh, make sure they don't leave each other sad, I suppose. This from April says, this episode of Criminal Mind, it has to be. This from Mr. E says, okay, so that list is totally wrong to me. Oh, darling, the night of the last body. The one on that list said the last body was listed on Valentine's Day. That's when the last one was listed. Yeah, but I'm a little slightly perturbed by how these people ended up in the river. But I guess let's just get to the Facebook group. Maybe they'll help shed some light on exactly what's going on, because I'm a little confused. Okay, so in the Facebook group, this person had posted this. They said at the top, Rainy Street is not long at all. The red lines are possible ways to the lake. The yellow circles are the best places that could possibly have good views. But I don't know what that means. Good view to what? Good view to a corpse? Because that makes no sense. Somebody says, honestly, I think it's either a cop or a homeless person. I got my eye on a cop. Okay, I got my eye on the cop. Let me get to this image here. Somebody says missing men's bodies were found in Birdie Lake. Jason John in 2023, Martin Gutierrez 2018, Christopher White 2018, Jonathan Honey 2023, Julio Santos 2015, Santiago Gonzalez 2015, Aaron Werblick 2014. They all have dark hair. They all look like pretty meaty looking men, you know. The poster by Cat Infinity says these are the men's identities. More victims are pending. If you are a family member, can you please provide a photo? Any information is important. Someone says they don't recall the bottom left, familiar with his name, all dark. Somebody says, do you know what year for each of them pictured? It's really posted. Somebody says, all gone too far young. Interesting. This is from Rodrigo Castillo. I hope I'm saying that. Castillo, I think. You said mostly all victims are male and from out of town. Also, I'm sure most of them are single and looking for a good time. Additionally, I would guess between a phone, a watch, an iPad, and cash, each other victims were worth about $1,000. I'm guessing the perp is inconspicuous. The perp is using a hookup app to attract victims. The perp is a male and a catfish when needed. Austin is an expensive city to live in, and it's crazy to know what your unsuspecting neighbor might do for $1,000. Somebody here by the name of Katie Gardner says, hey, I was a good friend of Jason's who passed in February 5th of 2023. None of these assumptions are true. Jason was in a very happy long-term relationship, had lived in Austin 3 years, and wasn't carrying anything expensive when he went missing. After then, a phone and a wallet. Please be careful with these assumptions. So first, let's just make it abundantly clear. I understand she's trying to preserve the likeness of her friend, but you don't know what people do in their private time. So the last thing you want to do on the internet on an unsolved case is go caping for people, and you're not his cell phone provider or owner. If you don't know what that person does on a daily basis, do not go across the internet and be like, oh, she would never cheat on her husband. And then the mistress shows up 6 months later, like, yeah, she sure was sleeping with me. Don't ever do that, because you just don't know. It's understandable that you want to fight and defend your friend's image and honor, but at the end of the day, it's like, don't do that, because you don't know that, right? Don't do that. Just like, do you remember the case of that cop in Colorado or something like that? And he went to jail for 400 years for raping women on the side of the road, and his white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired fiance was like, oh, he wasn't into black women and women of color. It's funny because he only rapes them, so he might have an affinity for them, or at least a fetish. So don't get on the internet talking all crazy about people, because again, you never know what people are into. And I'm not saying that her friend he was a closeted gay man hooking up with gay men. I'm not saying that. He could have been hooking up with a woman who's doing this. We don't know. We actually don't know the gender of these people. Or the person, the perpetrator of this, you know? So like, it could be a woman who's drugging these men, you know, and luring them and robbing them, or just, it's a sycophant. So don't get on the internet being like, oh, my friend with them, unless you know definitively without a shadow of a doubt, just save your breath. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. It's just to protect yourself because you don't want to come out looking crazy. I just don't do that. Somebody else commented and says, this has been going on for a long before hookup apps were around though. Does it date back to 2009? Child, she must be new, honey, because what about Craigslist? Okay. I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm literally trying not to date myself, but ma'am, Craigslist has been around since like 1999, 2001. Craigslist is so old. Craigslist SEO looks exactly the same it did when Yahoo and AOL launched. People have been hooking up on the internet since Craigslist. And before that, they was doing it in the newspapers. In her and whoever this commenter is, in their world, they're like, oh, Grindr and Tinder weren't around. She must be new to the internet. This from Greer James says, LOL, not the Mr. showing up. Child, this from Julia says, I'm thinking it's a white male in his late 20s, early 30s. He might come off as chill and want to learn more about fitness. I watch too much Criminal Minds and Law and Order. If I had to take a guess, and this is just my guess, because your guess is just as great, Julia, and just as valid. But my guess would be that I think it's a couple. I think it's a man and a woman. And I think they're probably a real couple who are just sadistic. But it's giving very much like, you can't really clock people like their gender or their sexual preference. Like you can't be like, oh, he looks gay or he looks straight. Sometimes you can, sometimes you just can't. But I think personally it's a couple. I think it's a couple doing this. I think for either regard, and let me explain that. I think that this person is using some sort of hookup website or just casually meeting these people at bars. If it's a woman, she's preying on single men at the bar. If it's the woman plays her role and she's preying on single men at the bars, and then her and her partner going back and doing whatever to them. And if the couple perceives that the person that they're targeting might be homosexual, gay, like a gay male, then the husband goes after them. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like they take turns going after each victim to confuse everyone, because you're like, how did that trans person ended up on here, right? Or that queer person end up on this list? That's my personal opinion. I think it's a couple doing this, and there's tons of history on couples who engage in this type of sadistic behavior because they get their rocks and kicks off. You know what I mean? So that's my best guess. I think they do it for fun. I think they do it for torture. I think they do it for sexual gratification. I don't think they do it to rob them, because it's not like they took their credit cards and drove them around to an ATM and made them empty their credit cards. I don't think they do it for that. I don't think it's for money. I think it's definitely sexual, without a shadow of a doubt. Definitely think it's sexual, not back pages. Okay, remember the Craigslist killer? AOL in chat rooms. That's right. This from Cam. What's up, Cam? Says, I used to live in Austin. Barton Springs is where most of us swim, but Ladybird Lake, no way. That's crazy. This is from LOL Doll. Says, I live in Austin, Texas area, and I believe it could be a bartender. I don't do clubs, and the one time I did, not in Rainy Street area, my drink was poisoned. I bought it myself at the bar. Now that's also a possibility. That happened at a bar. I cannot remember the name of this place. I actually did a story on it a couple years ago. There's a bar. It's not Whiskey Island. I forget what it's called, but it's in the Cleveland area, and you have to take a ferry to get there. And it was a huge story about a bartender just drugging people for fun. He wasn't even touching them or like doing anything sexual. He just was drugging them and watching people being inebriated. Weird. But yeah, I could believe that too. This from Julia says, okay, I see it. Hey, look, no, everyone's theories count, because again, we don't know what we don't know, right? We're all here. This is from Missy. Says the trans woman might have a different perp, possibly. Possibly. Once this raggedy city of Austin calls in the FBI so they can get real analysts working on it, they'll be able to weed out the cases that aren't relatively close to it and then take all the cases that are connected and bind them. And then we'll be able to start to see those similarities. But until they do, you just got a bunch of dead people in a lake. You know what I mean? You got to be able to weed out accidental drownings or cases that it was another assailant. So then when you do take those core cases and put them together, then you'd be like, here are the similarities. You know what I mean? These are the similarities, but you can't do that without criminal analysts. And some police departments do have criminal analysts, but they're not trained like FBI criminal analysts are. FBI criminal analysts are literally top tier. I mean, they're being trained at Quantico and they're being trained with clinical psychologists and psychoanalysts and psychotherapists. And they're being trained for years to be able to paint you a picture without ever seeing the person they perceive to be the assailant. And they will paint you a picture of this person's life from their childhood down to the car that they believe that they drive. That is the importance of criminal analyzation. So there's a really great show. It used to come on Investigation Discovery. It's called Mind Hunters or something like that. And another show called Most Evil. And these were shows run by retired criminal analysts. And the one woman was literally explaining how she worked her first case after training, years of training. She worked her first FBI case and they wanted to figure out who could this perpetrator have been. She got it all the way down to the man's and the year, a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle, or I'm sorry, Volkswagen van. And she even described the color. She said, I think it might be these colors. This person, based off of the characteristics, all the stuff that they left in the home, it seems like they have an affinity for green and white. And bam, turns out it was the neighbor who drove the same car. So criminal analysts are really, 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 really important because you just got to have a certain mind to be able to paint a picture, a very vivid picture using very incremental clues. So I'm hoping the Austin PD, I mean, to me, I feel like if I was the police chief and all these dead people kept coming up in the river, and we did all the parameters, we put up cameras, we put up lighting, we put up fencing, and people still kept showing up dead in the river, I'm calling the feds. I don't care what nobody say. I'm not about to be losing citizens and making people feel safe and scared to live in their own town. Like if the city council, right, according to the article we read at KXAN, if they are doing everything known to man to make that strip where people are walking as safe as humanly possible and people continue to show up in a river, you need to call the federal government. You need to have criminal analysts out there immediately because all the fencing in the world, all the cameras in the world, all the lighting of the street in the world, right? Patrolling cars out there, it does not deter an individual who has an affinity to murder. They will find ways around it. They will think this is a game of cat and mouse and you building a bigger trap. And all they're doing is analyzing that trap on how to defeat it. That's it. It's not going to stop them. If they have a strong affinity to dump stuff in that lake and you start putting up all these booby traps like taller fencing and more lighting, all they're doing in their head is strategizing how they're going to be able to defeat your trap. So point blank period, if the city council makes good on their word and they, you know what I mean, they do everything and humanly possible, like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and you still got dead body, y'all need to call in the feds. But let's get back to this Facebook group because I think this group's interesting. I actually really like this group. It's a lot to discuss. Okay, so this person posted this here. His name is John Culver. Says the thing that bothers me in the Jason case is the flyer said last seen wearing black and white Jordans. Ain't nobody wearing that. Ain't nobody tearing through a bush. Ain't nobody tearing through the brush towards water wearing J's. Which one was it? Jason? He was wearing black and white Jordans? It depends, right? It depends on how drunk he was. Let me get to the comments. Somebody says, your comment reminds me of how Elle solved the case on Legally Blonde. Very true. Said, you said, nice, drinking a lot. All these men didn't go to piss and wind up dead in the river. I mean, no way. This from Catherine Chombley says, this is from KVUE article before the man's body was recovered, quoting his mom. The suspicion is he might have fallen into Lake Birdie. There is a man named Christopher who says he's a homeless person who lives by the water, and he says he heard a noise and he tried to help my son and he was not able to help. That's really sad. Somebody said this was the night Jason John went missing, and it sounded like the times match up from just after the last video footage that saw him on the end of Rainy walking toward the lake, which was toward his home. Apparently lived across way on Riverside, and I know people often take the trail to walk over there. It's just really only way to get pedestrians on bridge on 35. This from Jessica Summons says, I live on East 2nd Street. The house next to me is an Airbnb, and cops were at the house yesterday. My boyfriend ran into one of the guys staying and asked what was going on. And he said that his friend had been missing since Thursday, and the last place he was seen was Rainy Street. Wow. Wow. Let me get to the comments. I don't know how people are still living there, low key. Someone says, are they showing where he last was on the flyer? Here's a flyer. John, he shared his location with his friends. He was here at the the Austin, Texas Metro bike station. Wow. Oh, wow. This must have been the person that went missing. Now, his sounds accidental. Let me get back here because I have to look at their pictures too. This must have been the guy that went missing, John. Dang, that's really awful. That's really awful. This from Joshua Walker, top contributor. Okay, Joshua says, if Austin PD won't do something, why can't 14,000 people come together? He says, I'm off Thursday, Sunday, and I'm willing to do whatever this takes, but in teams. Yeah, he's right. That's the thing. Like, if you've seen Don't F with Cats, I mean, there's 27,000 people in this group. They could really shake some up. You know what I mean? And listen, out of 27,000 people, there has got to be some really good analysts, but it's going to take more than that. It's not only going to take analysts, it's going to take the missing people's families to help fill in those blanks and those gaps. They're not going to be able to solve this without the help of those missing person or those people's families, because they have to fill in the gaps. Last text messages, if they share their location, if they share text, if they have access to their phone or their devices, because in order for them to be able to, this group, which I think this group could do it. I think there's enough of them. I think they're quite strong. I think that if they put their brains together, they could probably solve this case without a shadow of a doubt. They seem like they're very tentative. I've been in Facebook groups because, we're news, right? So we got to get into the group so we can see what everybody's, yammering about. I've been in Facebook groups, and this group seems like they got a good, solid foundation. It's like smart people who care, people are interested in the story, not just a bunch of sycophants looking to create like YouTube channels to do like murder mystery, which I think is just in poor taste. But it looks like there's actual people who care, people working 9 to 5 and well-to-do people, and they're probably a good chunk of people who analyze information down to the umpteenth degree. So I feel like y'all, like, if anybody in that group is listening, y'all got a solid team. Y'all could do it. Y'all just gotta put a game plan together. Whoever the admins are, you need to immediately call a meeting. That's what you need to do. You need to call a meeting. You need to get everybody on chat meeting, and you need to immediately begin to start getting your whiteboards out and your thumbtacks and your thread. And y'all need to start putting some stuff. You understand what I mean? Y'all need to start putting stuff together, because y'all could probably really solve this case. Let me get to some of your comments. I know the comments be going. This from Samuel says, what is clear is Ladybird Lake is a dumping ground for bodies. Might be multiple. Might be. Might be. It's quite possible. This is from Quinta. What's up, Quinta? Says, I definitely think it's a couple or a man because a lot of them do look like they work out. So maybe a workout friend. Yeah, that's quite possible. What's up, Desmond? Says, might be someone from a gym that they go to. Could be. They didn't, but here's the thing, they didn't all show up missing from like, there's no link that they all went to the gym, but they all do look like they go to the gym occasionally, right? Like 2 to 3 times a week. They look like gym goers. That's true. This from Musica Flower Child says, including Knoxville, Tennessee, homeless women continue to be found burned to death and wrapped in plastic and set on fire. It's like whoever is doing it can go a while before doing it and not being reported. Yeah. Because remember, when these people do stuff like this, right? They don't have to do it every day because they save trinkets, locks of hair, socks, and then they get to pick up that person's item, right? They get to pick up that person's item, and it helps them remember the feel of the kill, right? Until that memory starts to diminish, because that's just how memory is. It's going to be stored in your long-term memory, but short-term memory, it's going to fade over time. And then they got to kill again because they need that they need that rush again. You know what I mean? They need that rush again. So they get the rush from finding their victim, committing the act, and then dumping the body, and then saving the trinket that from that death. So they're gonna do it again. Now they just whoever, if this is a serial killer, they just did it a couple days ago. They'll be back in a couple of months. Just give them a little time. They'll be back. They'll be back. They will. They got a good hunting ground. They know a lot of people drink and party in that area. Summer's coming, and it's going to be really dangerous come summer. It's going to be plentiful full of people. You know what I mean? It's going to be plentiful full of people. So it's going to be really, really, really dangerous go in the summertime for the observable audience, but it's going to be a great hunting ground for that killer. Let me get back into this group chat because it's so interesting. And shout out to Joshua Walker. I hope you guys can pull it together and do something. This from Eddie Rodriguez says, here's my theory. Sorry if someone else already thought of this, but petty cab driver, probably female or small framed male, but he will be strong enough to manhandle nonviolent men. And with the help of a bike cab, they could transport a body through downtown night by Bernie's, midnight at Bernie's, or weekend at Bernie's style. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's a couple. It's all of their deaths, excluding the accidental ones. It's giving couple. It's giving killer couple. It's giving killer couple. Because no man is going to be comfortable just kikiing with a man, even if the man spiked his drink, you know what I mean? But like, because my thing is like, I'm just trying to think about the circumstances surrounding how they got their victim. Did they get their victims just casually in the bar? Was it a bartender who slipped them a drink and then had the husband, boyfriend take them as they walked out of the bar? Did anything sexual happen, right? Is there semen available anywhere? You know, that's my question. Or are they just slipping and falling in the lake? Because if there is no like, and that's the perfect place to dump them, because water completely destroys a crime scene. It does. It turns bruises. Bruises are all inflated, so you can't really look at the bruising. It changes the composition of their body temperature, so you don't really know when they died. You just know when you found them, you know? So even if you took like a rectal temperature exam, it's going to be the temperature of the water, you know? So it's like the perfect dump. Like whoever it is, they're not stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing, specifically targeting that lake. You know what I mean? It is. You're right. It is. Yeah. What's up, Darissa? How you doing today? Sounds so late. I fell asleep. I'm gonna run back, of course. Just shoot to the 3-minute mark because the volume was out. Okay. That's from Sherry says. Maybe there is a medical field or handle farms animals so they have access to strong drugs or tranquilizers. Possibly. Possibly. That is a strong possibility. This is from Carissa Morgan here on Facebook. Carissa says, where did we go viral? Oh, that was me. I was in this chat. Where did we go viral? We got almost 2,000 followers in a few hours. I said, girl, I came here from TikTok. This from Cassidy Fisher says, crazy thing is, the trend of men being killed is fellas. Keep your head on a swivel at all times. Don't accept a drink from anybody else. If you don't buy it, don't drink it. We will catch whoever it is, and their time is coming. Karma will never miss, but sometimes she not always on time. Yeah, they're right. Yeah. Yeah, this is from Leslie Love says, those that are found deceased in Ladybird Lake are not just falling into the lake. 6 men since December. There has to be a connection. I personally think these men, while intoxicated state, are being lured into a vehicle to a separate location where they are robbed of their belongings and their phones. Do we know if the men were found with their phones, and where did the phones ping last? This is a great question. This is a great question. Somebody said, are autopsy toxicology reports public or private? We'll be interested in the recent drownings. They're public. And you can request them through the medical examiner's office. I have one of the reports from 2018. It cost me $10. Yeah, listen, I'm not an admin on this group, but I'll tell you right now, this is the first thing y'all should be doing. You're admins on a group, right? You need to get these autopsy reports and toxicology reports. Now, you're not going to get the last one because toxicology takes anywhere between 6 weeks and 6 months, but you're not going to get the last victim of the, what's it called, Ladybird Lake, but you will be able to get the other guys, and you absolutely need to request a copy of their autopsy reports. If I were an admin of a group this large, thank God I'm not, because it seems like it's a lot to deal with. That's the first thing you need to do. Actually, I'm going to leave a post, and hopefully one of the admins will read it. I'll be like, hey, can you all request an Yeah. I'll even pay for them. Because that's what y'all need immediately. That's what y'all need immediately. Yeah. Oh, I hope they don't kick me out of here. Also, I'm not spam. let me leave that post too. Okay. Okay, just to be safe, because I can't get booted. I don't got no pages to do. I ain't got no other pages to be admitted into this group. So if they block me, it's a mess. But vouch for me, y'all. Vouch for me. Okay, this from Mr. E says, that's why they aren't looking at yellow circle buildings, are in a rezoned buildings, apparently fairly expensive. Oh, interesting to know. This from A. Nicole says, my mom lived in Austin for 10 years and men were being found drowned in a pond. Yikes. When did she move? This from Dorissa says, again, thanks, you're welcome. Soothing Zen Sounds, thank you for the super chat. You didn't leave a comment. Did you want to leave a comment for us to read? And I'll make sure I look for it, okay? This from Ezrika says, if there wasn't any water in the lungs, what was the cause of death? Without the autopsy, it's hard to say, but if there's no water in the lungs, and that's not to say for all the men, that's just to say for one of the cases, And that was one of the cases from 2015. If there was no water in the lungs, it means you're dead before you hit the water, because in order for water to get into your lungs need the ability to expand. If your lungs are not expanding, then that means you're dead, right? Because your lungs expand. Just what I'm even thinking. Thank God. Thank God we're human. But yeah, so if your lungs don't expand, it means you're dead, or at least you're not breathing. This from Best Practice. It says, wait a minute, don't be talking about serial killers in my city. What? Child, you must be new here. Stay off of Rainy Street, apparently. This from A. Nicole says, this has been going on for a while. She lived there in 2012, 2013. Now, let me get back to this group, because I think there was a photo. No, the earliest person that this group has included in this quote unquote death, or serial killer, is 2014. But hey, it could be the same person. I'd love to hear the info from your mom so we can get an idea of who that person is. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me refresh the page. I want to get to some of the earlier posts. Let's see. I don't want to do featured. I want to do. I don't really know how to work Facebook, but I want the most recent post, and I don't know how to do that on here. Like, how do you get the most recent post, or do they just, I don't know. I don't know how they do it on here. I don't know how they do that on here. This is, oh, she's an admin. It says also, if you're a private investigator, please message me. I'm not going out. Y'all, I just want to know the approximate amount of how many there are. There are 9. Oh yeah, let me, do I DM her? How do I do that? Until I'm not sure how to DM, because Facebook is strange. I don't know how to use. I don't know how to DM on here. Sorry. Okay. Let's continue. This is from, and let me blow my screen up, that way you guys can see it. This is from Emily Murphy. Emily says, a couple years back, a male acquaintance of mine was visiting from Cali and was drugged in a bungalow on Rainy. He thankfully got home safe to his nearby hotel, but lost his wallet on the way. Still had his phone on him, and he was on his own and has been hanging with people he had just met, possibly male and female. From what he told me back then, I've read at least one other post here with a similar story. I knew it. She said also, good to note that his walk to the hotel was the opposite direction of Town Lake Path. She said he was out on his own and had been hanging with people he had just met, possible male and female, from what he told me. What'd I say? I told y'all. It's giving charismatic couple murderers. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be funny, but that's the energy this whole story is giving. Charismatic couple turned deadly. You know what I mean? That's what I get out of this. Like, I get charismatic couple turned like sinister. And I don't know, because some people, that's how they, some people are necrophiliacs. They be getting their rocks off that way, like they have an affinity for corpses. Y'all, I don't know, but that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. This from Naya says, you have to have the messenger app to DM on Facebook. Oh yeah, I got it, but it's on my phone, so I'll do it this evening. This from Ezra Cuss says, the Ken and Barbie murderers from Canada. Remember them? Weren't they taking kids though? They were taking kids, right? They were taking children. They were taking children, I believe. Ooh, sinister. This is from Frida Richter. Says, unfortunately, there are probably 200 police in Moody Center tonight, but only 15 probably on Rainy at any given night. The drone community would know how to utilize the UVA with the IR IR camera to look for anyone in wooded areas at night. So John Culver says might be worth a try to find someone who went to pee and fell in but survived, or is it or is this just a automatic death fall? Rock climber, I've seen the human body. Some take some pretty gnarly deck falls. Granted, never into water. Somebody said you would have fallen straight into the water there, but even if you stumbled, it's only about as deep as your calves anywhere near Rainy. If it's as deep as your calves, how are people? I gotta look. I gotta look up. I gotta look this. I gotta look closer. I need a closer image of this. Hold on, let me go to Google Maps on my phone. You know how on Google Maps people take pictures by the rocks? Okay. What is it called? Rainy? Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can find where the water meets Rainy Street. Because the math ain't mathing for me on that. The math is indeed not mathing, okay? Okay, hold on. This is where I'm at now. I'm just trying to see, is there a clear picture of where the water meets the street? I don't think there is. All these pictures, no one has pictures by the water? That's interesting. I was hoping we would get like someone by the water so they could see the water. No, I don't see anywhere. Like, yeah, I don't see anywhere. No one took a picture. Maybe people just don't go, maybe people just don't go close enough to the water to get like photos of it, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, this from Samantha Guzman. It's probably the last story 'cause it's interesting. Samantha Guzman says, this was probably 2 years ago, going into the summer of 2021. I met my boyfriend at Bungalow on Rainy Street on a Saturday afternoon with a group of friends. No one is drunk yet. I offered to grab the next round for everyone. I ordered 3 drinks. It's really busy in the bar as usual. I'm a very small framed woman. I had to squeeze my way to the front to place my order. I remembered I ordered from a male bartender. I cannot tell you, excuse me, what he looked like. However, everyone back there is helping each other out, passing drinks to customers, etc. I grabbed the drinks by one, and someone offered to help me with my drinks. I declined. I took my drinks to my BF and his buddies. I handed drinks out to them. About 30 minutes passed, and I noticed my 6'1", 230-pound boyfriend started to behave strange. To be honest, I get frustrated thinking he has drank a lot more than he told me. But since he got to Rainy about an hour before I did, we walked to the bar to the next bar parlor room. Within 10 minutes of being there, he cannot walk properly. I cannot understand what he's saying. He cannot hold his head up, and then he falls really hard into the table and chairs and knocks everything over. I decided to call us an Uber and go home. I'm 100% positive he was drugged, as I have been before as well on West 6th Street. My boyfriend's buddies have pretty much drank the same amount of alcohol as he did, and they're all fine and concerned about him. I had ordered the same drinks for 3 of them, and the one drink my BF got, something was definitely off about it. I don't know if the drink was hopefully intended for me or for whoever they saw drink it, but it was definitely from Bungalow. Somebody replied and said, about 2 years ago, I was at Sage Bush on Congress meeting up with about 10 friends. We all ordered. I drank beer, so the bartender opened up the can in front of me, but my friends ordered white wine. She's not a drinker, and I know this about her. I left the group venue shortly after, but the next day she told me she was throwing up for about 30 minutes after drinking the wine and stumbled to the car where she slept it off. She knows she was drugged. Let me clarify, the bartender drugged her. I wasn't sure what to do since you can't prove it, but I went back to Sage Brush the next day to tell them that she was drugged. Wow. Maybe it is a bartender, you know? Maybe it is a bartender. You know what I mean? It's possible. It's possible it's a bartender. But it doesn't, here's the thing. It doesn't make any sense because if the person was being drugged, right? Because if they're being drugged and found in these lakes like that night, like, because those GHB and stuff, that stuff kicks in relatively 30 minutes. So if it was a bartender and he or she is still working, what are they going to do with you? You know what I mean? They would have to do something with you within 30 minutes. So that whole theory, it's a bartender. I don't think it's a bartender because how would they be able to get to you in the time that you ingested whatever they quote unquote gave to you? They would still be having a bartend, right? And you'd probably already be with your friends or passed out or something. I feel like this is more of a single person or just a person by themselves, not necessarily single, but like a guy after work or a girl after work or and they go to a bar to get like a couple of drinks or Saturday and their girlfriend or their friends don't want to hang out. So like, I'm going to go to the bar by myself. I feel like these people are being approached by a couple. That's because the couple is unassuming. Everyone seems to be assuming, not you guys, but just as a collective, everyone seems to be assuming it's a big burly guy. No, I think it's a couple. And I think that they are specifically picking out individuals at the bar like, ooh, he looks like he's by himself. You know what I mean? And they just drum out conversations. Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, I came to get a drink. My friends didn't want to come. Oh, okay. Well, me and my wife, we're new in town. We just, getting a couple of drinks. What's another good bar to go to? And as a friendly man, and you see a guy with his wife, you're probably not thinking anything of it. Like, oh, if this person's a serial killer, people don't think that they do it in groups, but they do. And they're like, oh, I know this other bar, this great place called Bungalow. It's only a couple of strokes up the street. Let's go together. And they go with them, right? They get that trusting personality. They order food. You know what I mean? A couple of like, French fries, wings. They're all just having a very merry old time till they drug them. You know what I mean? And it's not going to look off because you came in the bar with them. So if you're all sloshed and, inebriated and this couple, man and a woman, walk you out of the bar, no one would be the wiser. They're going to be like, oh, unhand him. They'd be like, oh, that's just a couple with their friend who had one too many. You understand what I mean? So I don't think it's a bartender because the narrative doesn't fit the crime. If a bartender is going to drug you because he wants to have his way with you, how is he going to get to you if he's still working? You know what I mean? Possibly. This is where Mr. E says, how do they drug the one bachelor out of a bachelor group and separate him from the group? See, here's the thing. Was he the bachelor? Was he the one supposed to get married? Or you mean, was he a part of the bachelor party? You got to be a little more specific because I can give you a scenario on both. This from Ezra says, maybe they just like the thrill of getting away with the crime. Could be. Right? Because there's no evidence that these people were sexually assaulted. You know what I mean? There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that they were sexually assaulted. It's giving, let me pull up the case. I'll pull up the case for you right now because this is what it's reminding me of. Okay, the case comes out in 2014. That's the name of it. They called it Roofie Island. I'm going to pull the case up for you right now. Shout out to Scene Magazine all the way from Cleveland. They did an incredible job on this story. So it's giving this, right? So if Ezrika, if your theory is to work, it follows specifically this story. So the story comes out of Cleveland. It's called Roofie Island, a summer of reported druggings and rapes on Put-in-Bay, Lake Erie's party destination. And I encourage you to read this. I'm not going to read you the whole story, but as you can see here from these slide images, this is just a party place. It's just where it's got like, I want to say 50 or 75 bars. All the bars are swim up bars. It's a teeny tiny island off the coast of Cleveland, or off the coast of like Sandusky. Everyone goes there. I've been there. It's a fun time. Listen, I never got roofied, but I'm just saying it's a fun time. It's really just a party destination. You know what I mean? But what was occurring at Put-in-Bay was people getting this date rape drug in their drinks. Some people reported being sexually assaulted. Some people just reporting like nothing. Some people reporting their friend looked like they were inebriated more than they had been consuming. So we took them back to our hotel. Blase, skip, boom, boom. But it's giving this case. And I highly encourage you guys to read this story. It's a really good story. If not, I actually did a story on this on TikTok. I did a 4-part series and just summarized it. A bartender was being accused of doing this. A lot of people had identified the bartender of doing this. He ended up getting acquitted, which is crazy because all of these victims had come forward, but apparently I think he had like a rich daddy or something. But all these victims had come forward. It's like, no, this guy definitely did it. He definitely did it to me. So if this is the case, Ezrika, it's definitely giving the Put-in-Bay GHB person, Roofie Island. That's what it's giving. Kadra said, I remember hearing about it. It was a big story. I mean, people are scared they're going to shut down Put-in-Bay for a whole summer. And Put-in-Bay has Christmas in July, where on July 21st or July 25th, something like that, everyone dresses up in Christmas clothes. So it's like one of their biggest events. Like the whole island just goes crazy. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. But yeah, it happens. Mr. E says, you said, were they putting them in the bay? Put-in-Bay, what is a destination? Should rename Rainy Street to Ladybird Street. Yeah, for real, to be honest with you. Cam says, and some of these men appear to be queer, definitely being targeted, especially in that area. That's what I think. I think if that theory is correct and it is just somebody doing it for, fun and icks and giggles, and they're just doing it and maybe picking up the paper the next day and like, ooh, someone drowned in Lake Rainier, or I'm sorry, someone drowned in Ladybird Lake, and it looked like the person I gave a date rape drug to, they get off on that, so it's possible that this person is doing it just out of the sheer like fun of doing it, and that's how that Put-in-Bay case was. Admittingly, the person who did it allegedly, who was acquitted, he was acquitted. A lot of people had testified they think he was doing it for fun. So, but that's what I have for you guys today. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, here at the Nosy Bystanders Live. We're going to keep up with this story like every other story, but I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. I will see you guys tomorrow again, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, here at the Nosy Bystanders Live. You guys have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye.